Hi everyone and welcome back, and today we'll be going over the Galaxy Watch Ultra. Now this is the 47mm watch. It comes in one size only, and also it comes with LTE. So if you don't want LTE with this watch, well, too bad, because you will be essentially forced to get it with the LTE. Keep in mind that you don't have to get a watch plan for this one. You can just use it as like a Bluetooth device, like the other Galaxy watches that do not support LTE. And yes, if you're wondering, you can connect this watch to another Android phone, though some of the features may be limited, and that will kind of just waste a lot of the potential of this watch. So just to be safe, make sure that you are connecting this watch with another Samsung device. I would not recommend that you do this with another Android device, especially if you're into some of the features. They might simply not be available on other Android devices, even though the watch can technically connect. So just be aware of that. Now, I don't want to waste your time, so I'm just going to let you know straight away that this is a great watch, but not for like serious athletes that really care about the metrics. There is some margin of inaccuracy with this watch, so if you're into metrics, yeah, don't really get this. And also, everything that I'm about to say is for fitness purposes. None of this is supposed to be for medical advice. Do not take it for medical advice, and even if you get this watch, do not make any medical decisions based on what the watch shows you. Always consult with your doctor. But let's just move on, because that's what we're here for. We're here for the Galaxy Watch, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the design. Now, this watch has a very polarizing design choice. It's essentially a squircle. It's a circle on top of like a squircle, I guess. I like the design, which is a pretty hot take in the Samsung community. And one of the things that I really love about this watch is how it's able to protect the screen. So if you smash this watch against a wall, either you're tearing the wall down or the paint's coming off the wall. If you've been up to date with Samsung, you will remember that they recently released a Galaxy Watch Ultra. You might be wondering, how is that any different from the previous one? Well, not much. So what they've done is just added one more color to the lineup of the Galaxy Watch Ultra, and they've also added a new color of the strap, and they've increased the internal storage from 32 gigabytes of storage to 64 gigabytes of storage. The chipset is the same thing, so do not expect any better performance. And adding to the design of the watch, we also have the straps. There are three main types of straps for this watch. There is the trail band strap, which I think is like the most comfortable one. There is the peak perform band, which is like a hybrid between the marine band and the trail band, and obviously we have the marine band. Alright, so with the Samsung ecosystem, this watch pairs really well. I have an S24 Ultra, however, it is not as polished and optimized as something as the Apple Watch is. So just keep that in mind, that if you're switching from iPhone to Samsung and you're planning on getting this watch, yeah, just keep in mind that you're not going to get the same performance and optimization as you get in other Apple Watches. There are other features here as well, like find your phone. You can just ping your watch so it rings your phone and you can find it in case it's lost somewhere. You also get other features like Gemini continuity, which you can request, say, Gemini to do something on your watch, and it will actually go back to your phone, process whatever request you've made, and it understands some context, but this is very limited. Alright, so for this next part, I just want to highlight the different health features that this watch offers. Keep in mind that I might actually miss some of them. There are so many, I just can't possibly keep track of them. So with Galaxy AI on the watch and on the Galaxy S24 Ultra in this case, the device is able to make some AI decisions to help you supposedly to be healthier. Now, do not rely on this because it can be way off. It once told me to go to bed like at 4 in the afternoon, and I'm like, you're crazy. It can also tell you things like, you need to go and work out for like 3 hours today. Be aware of this. It can be a little bit off, and you can also turn these settings off. Alright, so some of the health features that you get with this watch include the following. You get the vascular load. It's got an antioxidant level. It can also measure your blood pressure, but you need to recalibrate the watch every 4 weeks, I think. And you need 3 readings from an actual blood pressure machine, which defeats the purpose of having the watch. Like, at that point, just use the blood pressure machine. It's far more accurate. It can also measure your oxygen levels. So this is just plainly how much oxygen is in your blood. Do keep in mind that it can also track your maximum oxygen intake, for example, in your blood. Those are two different things. This is the VO2 and the SpO2. So one is the level of oxygen in your blood, and the other one is the maximum use of oxygen during intense workout. That's your cardiovascular fitness. So you might get a number something like 34, 40. If you're something like 50, holy heck. It can also do electrocardiograms and ECG. I don't know how useful this is. I don't have like a heart condition that I need this kind of information from. And it also can do a bioelectrical impedance analysis. That's a BIA. Generally, I don't know how accurate this is. It's like when it measures how much fat, how much muscle, how much water you have in your body, taking your weight into account. I don't know how accurate this is. You know, the machines used to actually get these kinds of readings are actually pretty complicated and pretty big as well. So I don't know how something on your wrist is able to do that like reliably. It can also measure your ages, advanced glycation in products. But like if you don't know what that is, chances are you don't even need to be reading these things. And this is also something that's in a beta. It's not 100% accurate and you shouldn't be, again, making any medical decisions based on this type of information. Yeah, there is a repeating theme here in that there's a lot of like, it's in beta, it's in beta. Everyone has access to them. It's just that when you see it's in beta, you should know that you should take it with a pinch of salt because it could be wrong by a little bit or sometimes by a lot. So just be aware of that. When it comes to sleep features, it can also measure your oxygen levels as you sleep. It can also detect mild to moderate sleep apnea if that's something that you're curious about or if you don't know that you have it. The watch may be able to detect it. It can also track your temperature as you sleep. I have no idea how on earth that's any useful to anybody. It can also give you an energy score based on how you slept. And of course, it can track your sleep stages, which go watch someone like the Quantified Scientist, I think it's called. And he posts really interesting data about how accurate these watches are. It's also got sleep coaching. So it's supposed to help you develop better sleeping habits so you again get more restful sleep. Okay, now that we got that chunk out of the way, let's get started on the fitness side of this watch. So this watch supports a ton of workouts. I'm talking about like a whole bloody list. Post-workout, this watch also has a feature where it estimates your sweat loss. So it recommends you how much water to drink afterwards to replenish the water lost. Again, if you're thirsty, just drink water, okay? Don't wait for the watch to tell you that. But that is something that the watch can do as well. It's got a running coach feature, which is supposed to help you train from like a novice level or from wherever you are. It does a test for you and then it finds out how well or how poorly you are performing. And then it tries to build up from there. And it also has heart rate zone training. That is something that this watch is also able to do. It'll give you verbal or sometimes it'll just vibrate if you want. So it lets you know that you're either inside or outside your heart rate target zone. If you love the outdoors, this watch supports dual band GPS, which means it should be more accurate. Again, take it with a pinch of salt. Sometimes it can be a little bit off. One thing I've learned is that you can get like 20 watches and they'll all disagree on like the distance traveled. It's not meant to be taken literally centimeter by centimeter. And it also supports tap to pay, whether that's through Google or Samsung Wallet. And also, before I forget, it can also track the menstrual cycle for women. And lastly, the action button, which can be used to perform shortcuts in the watch, whether that is to say like start workouts, give you the list of the workouts, turn the torch on and stuff like that. All right, so in my day-to-day that I use this watch, it lasts about 2 days, 1.5 if I push it. So if I decide, say, to go to the gym, it is possible to really drain it that you might need to charge it the same day, but that is just pushing the watch to essentially its extreme ends. Then you might need to charge it every day if you want it to, say, track your sleep and have some battery for the next day when you wake up. And when charging this device, it can take anywhere from 1.5 to 2 hours. I know the charging is very slow, but again, because this watch tends to last quite a long time, and for me at least, it hasn't really been a problem charging it, as in like it's taking too long. It's just fine, although I wish it was faster anyway. When using this watch outdoors, whether that is just to check the time or you're working out and you need to see your metrics, you will have no problems seeing anything. This watch gets really bright and the torch also gets really bright. FYI, that visibility is not an issue with this watch. And if you're wondering, the front glass of this watch is sapphire glass, so it is very highly scratch resistant and crack resistant. I mean, if you obviously fall into a rock or something like that, it might literally crack, but I mean, the watch is not tested for that. So yeah, just be safe out there. Don't jump off hills and stuff like that to try and test how durable the watch is. This watch, although it's been quite a interesting device to use throughout the last year, it obviously has its own downfalls. The UI interface, it is very laggy at times. It can stutter a lot. It has to do with, again, the chipset itself and trying to save as much battery as possible. But it would be nice to see Samsung upgrade these chips because they are really underpowered. Sometimes notifications can be delayed, and that is kind of like a really prominent issue with this watch. Sometimes say you get a call on your phone, it might take like 3-5 seconds to land on your watch. In the real world, sometimes those 3-5 seconds can be enough between someone deciding, okay, I'm gonna end the call now because it's been ringing long enough. It would be very nice to see Samsung optimize this a little bit more. There are also some issues when it comes to connecting with the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. Sometimes say you go outside, you want to connect your watch to the buds, and for some reason they refuse to connect. So it's very annoying to see that, you know, there's all these software intricacies that have not been nailed out, and it would be good to see again these things be polished in the future for a more seamless experience. Lastly, there's also one issue that is kind of like annoying the heck out of me at this point, and that is, say you're charging your watch, you put it on your wrist, and for some reason it doesn't detect your wrist. So it doesn't let you, say, like measure anything, your oxygen levels, your heart rate, nothing. And you take the watch off, you put it on, and it doesn't detect the wrist again. And sometimes it might take like 3 times to be able to do that. Again, the software is probably the biggest letdown when it comes to this watch, because that leads to, again, inaccurate results. And over time, these things add up. And if you're using this even just for fitness purposes, the difference between something like a 20-30% margin of error is a tremendous margin. And again, like I said, you're not supposed to take this at face value, but if it's that inaccurate sometimes, or it just outright doesn't work, it kind of defeats the purpose of the existence of the device itself. That's why I'm constantly saying these software issues really need to get nailed out, because they really ruin the user experience. Same thing with the energy score. Sometimes it'll tell you like you slept really well, you know, your score is something like 99, and then you wake up feeling like horse crap. An interesting feature that I would like to see come to the phones from Samsung and also the watch include being able to cast the screen of your watch, say, to your phone, and the workout screen. I still have no idea how this is not possible, and it would be interesting that now that we have the Now bar, there you go, Samsung, there's your opportunity. Also, a long time ago, I talked about being able to skip to a specific part of a song using the Apple Watch. I would love to see that come to Samsung as well. It's not in the Apple Watch either, but because with the Galaxy Watch Ultra, which doesn't have the rotating bezel, you have to essentially either use the swiping gestures, or you have to wrap your finger around the edge of the screen to go up or down in a menu. It would be interesting to see if, say, for right now, this controls the music volume. It would be better, probably, in my opinion, if you could actually just skip to a specific section of the song. So if you rotate it, for example, and say the song, the bar moves along to a specific part of the song. It's really interesting that this is still not a thing on Samsung watches or Apple watches. And when you only use the watch, say when you're working out and you don't have your phone, you have to listen to the whole song. Sometimes I just want to listen like half of the song. I would like to see this feature eventually arrive, because it is such a necessity, and it's the primary reason why I always have the phone, because I don't like listening sometimes to like a huge portion of a song, and I just want to get straight to that little bit, but I can't skip it on the watch, so I have to carry the phone with me to be able to do that. Like I said, the operating system sometimes can stutter quite a little bit. I would love to see a smoother experience. That's all I'm asking for, because it can be really stuttery and jittery, and it really takes away from, you know, this Ultra watch isn't quite ultra. It's more like ultra inconsistent. And that's what I don't like about this watch. One day it works really well. Next day it's really struggling to even perform consistently. So they really need to polish the operating system. Hi, hello, future me. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify 2 things before we proceed. One is another issue that really bothers me, and the second thing I will clarify as soon as I finish talking about the first one. So the first one is the torch. So your Galaxy Watch will go into sleep mode once you go to sleep. However, there is a possibility that your torch will not turn on to its maximum brightness because it's in sleep mode. Now, I don't know about you, but torches are used when it's dark. So the watch will work just fine with the torch when you turn it on during daytime, but not during nighttime. This is where it leads me to the second point. I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but the Galaxy Watch Ultra is probably one of the most expensive average watches that you can get. And you might be thinking, okay, is this Samsung's or like the sensor's fault? It's not the sensors, it's Samsung's fault. And we know that because this watch uses Wear OS. But you know what other watch uses Wear OS? The Pixel Watch. And you know the Pixel Watch is nearly as accurate when it comes to exercise as the Apple Watch. So hello, what happened there, Samsung? So how is this Ultra watch so horrible at doing like the basic things like your heart rate measurements? And this is the thing, the watch promises so many cool features. Like if they were actually like if they worked as intended, if the watch was as accurate as it needed to be to make these good informed decisions, holy heck, it would be groundbreaking. Now that I think about it, well, if it's so inaccurate, how on earth am I going to rely on like the results? It's like a watch that always tells you the wrong time. It doesn't matter how cool it looks, if it tells you the wrong time, it can't do the basic things it's supposed to be doing. And I know it sounds like I'm being harsh, but that is because this watch is meant to be, well, like I said, the ultra model of the lineup. Go watch the Quantified Scientist. He'll have interesting data on the accuracy of this watch. And let's continue with the video and let's move on. Anyway guys, that is my review for the Galaxy Watch Ultra. There is a lot to unpack in this review for this watch. That is because it is a really integral part to your day-to-day, especially say for your fitness journey or your weight loss journey or your health journey and stuff like that. Again, thank you for watching this video. Stay safe and I will see you in the next one.